I shall make those who follow you dominate those who do not believe you until the day of resurrection. Again, one of the answers the commentator said is that what this means is, it's not talking about power, that somehow the Christians, the true followers are going to have power over the Jews and so forth. That's not what it's saying, but that's not true. Rather, what it's saying is that they're going to morally have the high ground. The true followers of Jesus are going to have the moral high ground because what they're saying is right, and they have proof for what they're saying is right. They have a book, they have miracles, it makes logical sense and so forth, whereas the Trinity doesn't make any sense. Jewish teachings don't make any sense historically or in terms of their beliefs or anything like that. So morally, they're going to have the high ground. The problem with this is that the verse says, I'll make those who follow you dominate those who don't believe in you. We're talking about moral high ground, that the followers of Jesus have the right arguments and they're going to be able to win any debate, for instance, against the people who don't believe in Jesus. Right? Jesus himself should be included in that too. But the verse doesn't include Jesus. It says the people who follow you will be kind of higher up and have moral high ground over the people who are kuffar. It also says that they'll only have the moral high ground until the day of judgment. Right? But if your arguments are strong, the truth, it doesn't end at the day of judgment. Through the day of judgment, there'll also be truth and arguments and so forth. Right? So that's not the right explanation for this verse. What Allah says is that what the verse means is that those people who follow Jesus, right, in any way, whether they be proper monotheistic Christians or Trinitarian Christians or Muslims, we also follow Jesus. Right? So we're also included in this. Anyone who follows Jesus, God has promised by this verse that we'll have the upper hand, and those who rejected Jesus, the Jews who rejected Jesus, will have the lower hand until the day of judgment. This is a promise and a punishment that he's stating for the Jews. Because if you remember, what I said earlier with the fact that Jesus is Rasul ila Bani Israel, is that he's a messenger carrying kind of a last ditch message for the Bani Israel. They've already been sent hundreds of, maybe thousands of prophets before him. Right? Several books, and they've always done the same thing. They've always, either killed their prophets or, conspired against them. All these different things. But they've never been good Muslims, good Jews. So this was the last chance that they had, was Jesus. Now they failed. The vast majority of them failed. Only these disciples and a handful of other people actually succeeded and learned the right message. And so because of this now, this verse is telling us that the punishment for the Jews in the dunya, in this world, from then until the day of judgment, is that the Jews are going to be kind of the dregs of society. They're going to sink to the bottom. Everyone else is going to dominate them. The followers of Jesus. Now it doesn't matter if those followers of Jesus are true followers of Jesus, or if they're even false followers of Jesus. They're actually followers of Paul, for instance, and they believe in the Trinity. God's still promising that at least the Jews will no longer have any sort of respect, any sort of power. No one's going to like them anymore. And that's exactly what we see. Like throughout history, that's how it's been. And even today, they might have power, physical power, like strength, but nobody likes them. When we say Jews, we're not talking about a kind of an ignorant Jew who doesn't really know, he's still exploring and stuff like that. Whenever we talk about kuffar, we're never talking about those things. The kuffar of the Quran, where it's talking about they're punished and cursed and so forth, those are people who knowingly disbelieve, who knowing the truth, they choose otherwise. Right? People who are still in the search and still have an open mind to the truth, but haven't found it yet, they're never included in these punishments, these curses and so forth. Right? So here as well, that doesn't include those sorts of people, so don't get confused with those kinds of possibilities. Right? So even now, even today, when they have military power, for instance, nobody really likes them. Even those people who support them don't really like them. They'll support them for their own interests. Like, fundamentalist Christians, the only reason they're allied with the Zionist way of thinking, it's not because they love Zionists. It's because they feel that Zionists are somehow fulfilling a prophecy for them. And by their existence, even though we hate them, as long as they exist and they control certain parts of the world, that's fulfilling a prophecy and we're getting closer to Jesus' second coming. That's the only reason they work with them. Right? Do they love them? Do they have any respect for them? No, not at all. Okay, so this verse is a prophecy, and it's being fulfilled. It has been fulfilled throughout history, and it still is being fulfilled as we speak. Okay, so we have this hierarchy then. So those who follow Jesus, whether they're true Christians, false Christians, or Muslims, all of them will have the upper hand, And those Jews who rejected Jesus will be at the rejected society. They'll be subjugated by these other people. Then to me will be your return, whereupon I shall judge among you concerning that about which you used to differ. All of you together, Jews, Christians, Muslims, everyone's going to come to me on the day of judgment. Then I'll decide who's right and who's wrong. And what's the result of that judgment? He tells us in the next two verses. Those who did not believe in me. This refers to the Bani Israel. Right? It says kafaru, but he's speaking to Jesus. Right? So the kuffar of Jesus are the people who don't accept Jesus as the prophet of God. Right? So, in the context, alladhina kafaru refers to the Jews, the Bani Israel, who were supposed to believe in Jesus, but who failed to believe in him. So those who did not believe in you, as for them, I shall have punished them severely in the temporal world. So one punishment was the subjugation that he just referred to in the previous verse. From the time of Jesus until the day of judgment, these Bani Israel are being punished by being subjugated in the world by people who follow Jesus. That's one form of punishment. Sometimes Allah punishes us right here in the dunya. He doesn't always wait until hellfire to punish people. And then he'll add to their punishment in the hereafter, at which point they will have no helpers. Right? They'll go into hellfire, and they'll have no one to help them, to intercede for them. Whereas here they have these intercessors and these people who do their bidding for them, right? in the White House and so forth. What about those who did follow him? As for those among your followers who believe in the truth and do righteousness. Right? If you remember, 2 verses before, the phrase he used here was, those who follow you. Those who follow you that refers to not only Christians who are good Christians, but also Trinitarian Christians. Right? Both of those are included here. They're going to have the upper hand. But now in the day of judgment, that's not good enough. Just because you call yourself a Christian, you call yourself a follower of Jesus, that's not the standard. Just in the same way as it is for us. Just because we call ourselves Muslims or Shia, doesn't mean that we are actually going to achieve salvation. Not only do you have to call yourself something, you have to believe in it and follow it up with action. And so now he says this, as for those among your followers, all those people who call themselves your followers, Christians, good and bad, and Muslims. As for all three of these categories, those who truly believe in the truth, who know that Jesus is only a prophet, not Son of God, who believe there's only one God, not three gods, and then they back it up with righteous deeds, and also do righteous deeds, God will pay them their rewards in full. Right? So now we have the ruling for the Jews who rejected Jesus in the previous verse. We have the ruling for the Christians who were monotheistic, and the Muslims who have the right beliefs about Jesus. Who's left? The Christians who are Trinitarian. What happens to them? He says God does not like the wrongdoers. Wrongdoers refers to these people. Out of the people who call themselves followers of Jesus, there's one group of people who believe wrongly about Jesus, that he's the Son of God, he's come to die for his sins and so forth. So those are the wrongdoers. They're Zalimun, and Allah, He hates them, and they'll also end up in the same fate as the Bani Israel in hellfire. I see half confused looks, a couple of nods every once in a while, and catch, and a light bulb goes off. It is very, very challenging. Maybe the question and answer we can kind of go a little bit further with this. What time did we start? Let's go ahead and close it up here. So we'll go to the rest of the verses tomorrow, inshallah, and see what they say, and try to complete this puzzle. Hopefully, if we go through it one more time, then it'll be a little more clear. One thing I wanted to let you know, a couple of things actually. I found this a website on YouTube. Actually, there's a film called Mokib Ibad. Mokib refers to a caravan, if I'm not mistaken. Right, a caravan. Ibad, I think, refers to like a rebellion, a refusal. It's an Arab movie that's been made about Imam Hussein, about Karbala. And the footage is very good. A lot of the footage that we see in these videos is from that movie. So even though it's in Arabic, it hasn't been subtitled that I can find yet. But just to see the images, and you can see you can recognize what's happening. There's enough symbolism to